He had 3 days left. 3 days before the shelter would run out of space, out of time, out of options. A tiny orange tabby kitten, barely 8 weeks old, curled into the corner of a steel cage, shaking every time the door down the hall slammed shut. Nobody had come for him, not once. Families walked past his cage every single day, and every single day they chose someone else. A fluffier kitten, a calmer one that didn't flinch when a hand reached toward the bars. He flinched every time. The shelter was overcrowded that month. Kittens like him, the quiet ones who didn't perform for visitors, were always the first to run out of time. He wasn't sick, he wasn't aggressive, he was simply too scared to make himself seen, and in a place like that, being overlooked could cost everything. The shelter worker who found me that afternoon didn't say much. She just looked tired, the kind of tired that comes from watching too many animals run out of time. "He's not going to make it through the weekend," she said. "If nobody takes him today, that's it." I wasn't planning to adopt a cat that day. I hadn't even been looking, but something about the way she said it, that flat, exhausted finality, made my chest tighten. I asked to see him. He was smaller than I expected, thin, with a coat that hadn't been brushed in weeks, and eyes that were far too big for his face. When I reached toward the cage, he pressed himself into the back corner, as far from my hand as the space would allow. He wasn't hissing, he wasn't scared in a loud way, he was scared in a quiet way, the kind that comes from already knowing how this story usually ends. I asked the worker what would happen if nobody stepped in. She hesitated, and that hesitation told me everything. I didn't think it through, I just signed the papers, and 20 minutes later I was carrying a shaking, silent kitten out into the parking lot, wrapped in a towel because he had nothing else. I took him home an hour later. The first few nights, he didn't move much. He found the narrowest gap behind the couch and stayed there, only coming out when the apartment went completely silent. He didn't eat in front of me. He didn't play with the toys I left scattered across the floor. He watched, always watching, like he was waiting for the moment I'd change my mind. I started sitting on the floor near his hiding spot every evening, not reaching for him, just being present. Some nights he stayed curled up out of sight. Some nights, just barely, he'd inch closer, testing the distance like he needed proof it was safe first. Around the second week, something small happened. I was reading on the couch when I felt a light weight settle against my leg. I looked down, and there he was, pressed against me, not quite touching, but close enough that I could feel the warmth of him. I didn't move, I barely breathed, and he stayed there for almost 20 minutes before slipping away again. That was the beginning. After that night, the changes came slowly, but they came. He started eating while I was in the room instead of waiting until I left. One morning, I woke up to find him sitting at the edge of the bed, just watching me sleep. And when I opened my eyes, he didn't run. He just blinked, slow and deliberate, the way cats do when they've decided you're not a threat anymore. I'll never forget the first time he meowed. It was faint, almost a question, like he wasn't sure he was allowed to ask for anything at all. I answered him anyway, and something in his posture softened, like he'd been waiting for someone to simply respond. Hey, if you've made it this far, stories like this deserve to be seen by more people who need a little hope today. Hit that subscribe button. It genuinely means the world, and it helps more of these stories reach the people who need them. Over the following weeks, the shift became impossible to ignore. He started sleeping closer, first at the foot of the bed, then near my pillow, then eventually curled directly against my chest, his small body rising and falling with each breath, like he'd finally allowed himself to fully relax for the first time in his short life. He learned the sound of the treat bag. He learned my footsteps on the stairs and would wait by the door before I even turned the key. He started following me from room to room, not out of anxiety, but out of something that looked like choice, like he'd decided I was safe. And then came the nights. Every single night, without fail, he climbs into my arms before I fall asleep, not beside me, in my arms, curled against my chest, purring so loudly I can feel it in my own ribs. If I shift position, he adjusts with me, refusing to let space open up between us. Some nights I wake up and he hasn't moved at all, still tucked where he settled hours before, like he's making sure I'll still be there. The vet who checked him during his first visit paused for a long moment. "Whatever happened to him before," she said quietly, "he trusts you completely now." I hadn't realized until she said it out loud just how far he'd come from that shaking kitten in the corner of a cage. Most rescues that scared rarely relax during an exam, but he barely moved, eyes fixed on me the entire time. By the time the leaves started to change, he wasn't the same animal I'd carried out of that shelter in a towel. He'd grown into his paws, filled out into a sturdy, confident little cat who claimed every sunny patch of floor like it belonged to him. The kitten who once refused to eat in front of me now sat on the counter, supervising every meal I made. Winter came, and with it a small joy I hadn't expected. The first time I took him outside, bundled in a tiny coat, he stood frozen for a moment, staring at the snow like it was the strangest, most wonderful thing he'd ever seen. His eyes went wide, ears twitching at every new sound, and for just a second he looked like any other happy, curious kitten in the world, not the fragile, frightened animal who almost never got the chance to see snow at all. I stood there in the cold, watching him experience something so simple, and felt my throat tighten. This was a moment he almost never had. 3 days had stood between him and never knowing what snow even felt like. I think about those 3 days often. 3 days between him and a different ending entirely. 3 days that could have erased every moment that came after. The quiet nights, the warmth against my chest, the way he now trusts a hand reaching toward him instead of flinching away from it. He didn't fix something broken in me, not exactly, but he reminded me that trust isn't given, it's built one quiet evening at a time. He taught me that the animals who arrive most guarded are often the ones capable of loving the hardest once they finally believe it's safe to. If this story moved you even a little, please share it with someone who might need it today. Somewhere out there, there's another kitten with 3 days left, waiting for someone to simply choose them. And if you're thinking about adopting, remember this: the ones who hide, who flinch, who take the longest to trust, they're not broken. They're just waiting for proof that this time someone is going to stay. So here's what I keep wondering. Do you think animals who almost lost everything love harder once they finally feel safe? Or does every rescued animal carry that same quiet gratitude, no matter what they went through? Tell me what you think in the comments.